Hello, everybody. How are you today? I hope everyone's doing fine today. I am in my new apartment. I am so happy and thrilled and thankful for this place. I finally got into my new one-bedroom apartment, more room. I'm so excited about it. I honestly have no words to express it. I'm so thankful. More room, plenty of room. I actually have a bedroom, and it's still got a large kitchen. And right now I'm in the bedroom area. It's so nice, and I'm so happy for it. So let's dive right into the live. So today's topic is, if my phone ever stops vibrating, um, today's topic is revenge. I thought about what topic to write or what topic to discuss, and I thought that this one caught my eye because I think a lot of people do revengeful stuff without ever realizing they're actually doing it. Okay, so let's dive into what the Word of God, the Holy Bible, the lovely, lovely Holy Bible, has to say about the topic of revenge. Okay, so first verse for revenge. And this is going to be covering all types of revenge, from human revenge to God's revenge and everything in between. Okay? So, first verse. Romans 12:19. Romans 12:19. Okay? Is that verse. Romans 12:19. Which says, "Do not take revenge, my friends. Do not take revenge, my friends." Okay? So it's implying that it's not your job to take revenge. This is applying to you. Do not take revenge. You might say, "Oh, yes, somebody hurt me. Somebody did me wrong. Somebody offended me. Somebody upsetted me. Somebody made me angry. Somebody did something. They did this." There's a whole slew of excuses that we could say to kind of give excuse and reason to why we should have to get revenge on them. You know, at the end of the day, we have to understand our plans for revenge are not as great as God's plans for revenge are. Yes, let God handle it. Exactly. Let God handle it. Now, here's the point of the whole revenge thing. You could possibly take revenge on someone. Someone hurts you, you can go, "Yeah, sure, I'm going to use my freedom. I'm going to get even with them. I have to even the odds. I have to make it fair. You know, I have to do unto you what you do unto me." Many people will hide behind different, even verses to say that. You know, they might use that one, for example. You treat others as you would have them treat you. You know, they might go, "Okay, well, you're going to treat me bad, I'm going to treat you bad." Okay? Kind of thing. Here's the problem with that. First of all, it always creates a cycle constantly. That's the first problem. You get revenge on them. Now they're hurt. They want to get revenge on you. Now you're hurt again. You want to get revenge back on them, and it bounces back and forth, never ending. So it's a never ending cycle. Okay? That's the first part of it. And the second part is that even if you do get revenge, it may not have the impact that you actually want it to. Okay, you might go, "Okay, and I've done this myself. I've attempted to take revenge. So I'm going to use a scenario of my own life. Okay, so there was one time when a certain person decided to not understand my wishes, not respect my wishes, and decided to do something against me. So I in turn decided, well, okay, I'm going to show them what it's like. Well, I'm going to show them exactly what it's like. I'm going to act the same way as they are. Okay? And they're going to understand then what they're doing wrong. The problem was they never even saw it. Regardless of what I did, they never saw that what I was doing was to try and give them a taste of their own medicine. It was clueless to them. Okay? This is one of the key points about revenge. you might try to take revenge, but it doesn't mean it's going to be successful. Okay? God's revenge is always successful, and it's always 100% times way better than what you could do. Okay? So let's get back to the verse. Do not take revenge, my friends, but leave room for God's wrath. This does not mean, now notice, God's not saying you shouldn't feel offended. God's not saying you shouldn't feel like they've done you wrong. God's not saying you have to justify what they're doing. God's simply saying, leave it to me. I'm going to handle it. You don't need to. Okay? Basically. But leave room for God's wrath, God's anger. Okay? For it is written, it is mine to avenge. I will repay. I will repay. If they've done you wrong, God will repay. He might not repay in the way that you want him to. He might not repay in the way that you think he should. But he's going to repay every single time in the way that it should go. Okay? And the key in it is this. Even in his repaying, he's still looking out for trying to help correct or discipline or grow the other person who's actually offended you. Wait a minute, God. Hold up, God, hold up. Even in your disciplining of them and paying them back, you still want good for them. That's what the essence of God is. Okay? Even in his disciplining, he's still looking out for the very best of somebody else. So even when he's disciplining Joe Blow over here who stole money from you or who cut you off in traffic or who was rude to you when you were nice to them or something, okay? He's still going to discipline him and at the same time look out for the good. That doesn't mean that he's going to just wash away that they've done something wrong. No. He's going to discipline them. But just like as a loving parent, he's going to discipline them in love. He's going to discipline them with gentleness, with kindness, and go, look, you were wrong for this. But I'm going to do everything I can to help you. Because, see, here's the next part. Our revenge is always self-centered based. It's always about us feeling better about what they've done to us. Okay? God's revenge is always about two parts. One, what's good for you. And two, what's good for them. For the growth of coming closer to the Lord. Because you got to remember, his ultimate purpose and will is that every heart repents. Okay? So he's not going to do something to this person that did wrong to you in order to drive them further away from God. Even though that's what you think he should do. Okay? He's not going to do that. He's going to do what's good for them as well as what's good for you. But he is going to correct them in some sort of way. It may take years for them to understand. Okay? It may take years and years and years. They might go through the end of their life and even never understanding. And that's to their demise. That doesn't mean that God's not going to correct them or attempt to show them they're wrong. Okay? And what I mean by that is, just like Pharaoh, God tried to get Pharaoh's attention many times. It doesn't mean that Pharaoh listened. It just means God was getting his attention. Hey, listen to me, kind of thing. Okay? So that's the first verse. Next verse is a little bit before that in the same book. Romans 12:17. Romans 12:17. Okay? Romans 12:17. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Just as I was saying before, it's a constant cycle. And this goes in many different aspects. Relationships that you have with friends, relationships you have with family members, relationships you have with neighbors, relationships you have with lovers, right? If all you do is to do exactly what they're doing, all you're doing is perpetuating the cycle. You're continuing the cycle to continue and continue and continue. Okay? You have got to learn to break the cycle. Okay? That is one of the fundamental things that a Christian can do when dealing with evil is learn how to break the cycle. If you remember me giving advice before to people where I said, don't feed into what the bully wants. So so many times there are people that try to get your reaction to something, right? They're trying to get under your skin. They're trying to push your buttons. They're saying something, doing something, and the whole goal is to get. And it might not even be their goal. It might be Satan's goal. Satan's working through them. Is how I want to say that. Okay, so they're listening to Satan. They're feeding into their anger. Now they're lashing out at you. If you give the response that they want, you're feeding back into them, which just continues things. Okay. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everybody. So it's not just saying be careful to do what is right in the eyes of the Lord. Okay, because God sees all. But it's going beyond that and saying be careful, make sure to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. Now that's a tall order. That is a huge and tall order to fulfill. And by the way, you can't fulfill that on your own. When you're listening to your flesh, when you're listening to your emotions, when you're listening to your earthly desires of the heart, okay, it is almost always going to fail for you to do right in the eyes of man. Okay. Now there is something we have to join with that, because we have to remember the Bible also says if anything that man wants you to do is opposite of what the Bible says, don't do it. Listen to the Bible first. Okay, so in this context, doing what is right in the eyes of mankind has to be in connection and it has to be in alignment or in agreement with what God says as well. Okay, so when it says doing what is right in the eyes of everybody, it's talking about doing what is right according to the Bible in the eyes of everybody. Okay, that's what it's referring to, because God's never asking you to do what is right in the eyes of mankind, such as, oh, you're to act like same-sex relationships are okay to do, or you're to act like, it's okay to be hateful. No, because that's counter of what the Bible teaches, and God never does that. He never goes against what he teaches. Okay. Next verse, another Romans one, Romans 12:21. Romans 12:21. Okay, Romans 12:21. While we wait for that verse to pop up, we're gonna get back to the verse before. As I said, common sense. Do not repay evil for evil, because you continue the cycle. So think about it this way: when you see gang members, right? One gang member decides, okay, we want to go and shoot the other gang members in a different gang. Okay, and they're shooting the other gang. Now the one gang is hurt. Okay, they're upset. They're angry because one of their friends or family members or people they so-called care about has been hurt. Now they want to get revenge on the other gang members and go and fight them. And it just keeps going back and forth. Same thing. Okay. So now that verse was listed, Romans 12:21. Do not be overcome by evil. Do not be overcome. Like, don't be controlled by. Don't let it consume you. Okay. And this is one reason why you have to be very careful of what you associate yourself around, or what you let around you. Many of the times in our lives, we fail and we fall because of us letting the wrong things hang around us. Okay, we might have all the right intentions of going to church, reading the Bible, and you know what I'm talking about, because the moment you've had those moments where the moment you start trying to dig deeper into the Word of God, something pops up to cause a distraction, whether it's someone knocking on your door and want to play games when you're digging in the Word of God, or whether it's a phone call from somebody, from an ex or something out of the blue saying, oh, I really want to be with you, and I love you so much, and let's get back together, even though you knew the first time that you got with them it didn't work out. Okay. So it says, do not be overcome. To be overcome means to be controlled by, consumed by, and uh, um, submitted over. So like if you have two armies, right, and one army is overcoming the other one, what's happening is the one army is beating down the other army, and the other army is losing. So it's saying don't allow yourself to lose by what evil you come across. Okay, but overcome evil with good. Okay, so do not be overcome, do not be controlled or consumed or let evil consume all your thinking. Don't spend all day going, how dare they do this to me? How dare they? How could they do this? How dare they do this? Ooh, 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 they did this to me. Oh my goodness, I can't believe they did this. Oh, I need to call these people up. I need to talk to people and just explain what's going on and talk about how invent. Inventing is good. Venting is good. You have to vent. Okay? But better to vent to God than to man. Better, okay? Vent in your prayer life. Vent in your time with God. Even if you have to, vent in your journals or your diaries. Okay? I've done that many times. I'm sitting there writing in my journal, writing down what's happening during this week or this week or this week. Next thing I know, I'm just pouring out my heart to God and just talking to God through my journal. Okay? But overcome. So now the first part tells you warning. In other words, warning. Be careful that evil doesn't consume you. That the evil that you see in the world, the evil that you see around you, the evil you see in your friends, the evil you see in your family, does not consume you. Then the next part is simply saying, but overcome evil with good. So the next part is giving you the answer of how to overcome evil. Overcome evil with good. Have you ever noticed that when someone lashes out at you and says, I hate your guts, right? And you say, God bless you too. I love you. I'll be praying for you. And you give them that reaction, right? Those words out of your mouth, out of your heart, okay? And immediately they're taken back. Maybe not like, oh my goodness, and they're silent. They might continue trying to push the button, but the more you do that, what's going on is when you repay evil with good, right? It's a defense mechanism. And what happens is whatever they're throwing at you ends up bouncing off of you and going back at them. So now they're getting more angry, more upset, more angry, more irritated, more bothered, right? Because they're not getting what they want from you. And that aggravates them, okay? That aggravates the spirit that is in them more specifically, okay? So think of it like this. When you're overcoming evil with good, you're putting up your defense mechanism. You're putting up your shield to defend. You're going, oh, you want to attack me with words. Okay, poof. I love you. I care about you. I'm be praying for you. Boom. Now their weapons are bouncing back at them. Okay, so it's a reflective defense that you're doing when you're choosing to overcome evil with good. Now, yes, it takes obedience to do this because the first thing the heart wants to do, the first thing the human heart wants to do is to react exactly in the same way, instinctual, of what they're doing. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. That instinct in you, that jerk reaction. That's like that jerk reaction that doesn't think. It just reacts. And you get pumped up. You're like, you know. That's what you got to watch out for. Okay. Next verse. 1 Peter 3:9. 1 Peter 3:9. Okay. 1 Peter 3:9. While we're waiting for that, you're going to notice a lot of these verses are in the New Testament, not in the Old Testament. Okay. And there's a reason for that. Because the New Testament is under the love. And you can't have love and being mean to people back in the same hand. They don't go hand in hand. Okay? So that was 1 Peter 3:9. for that. Anyway, while we're waiting for that 1 Peter 3:9 to pop up, there we go. Do not, again, now notice something in all four verses that we've said here. Do not. It means you actually have to manually do something. Have you ever noticed how many times it says that in the Bible? Do not, do not, do not, do not, do not. Or do this, or do that, or do this, or don't do this, or don't do this. It's indicating, and that's only been revealed to me recently, okay, that it's revealing that it's something you actually have to manually do. God's not just going to come out of the blue and be like, okay, I'm going to control you and make you not do this, or make you not do that, or make you do this, or make you do that. He's never going to do it for you. You have to actually control yourself, hence self-control, okay, and work on doing it. So you have to manually do this. God's telling you what to do, but you have to actually do the work. You sow, you reap what you sow. Okay? So basically, God's giving you the seeds, right? But you have to manually plant the seeds into your heart. You understand? This verse, again, do not repay evil with evil. And it goes even deeper. Or insult with insult. So it's not saying, now it's going deeper. It's not just the actions that someone does. Sometimes it's the words. Just because they're yelling at you, don't mean you need to be yelling at them. Just because they're cussing at you, doesn't mean you need to be cussing at them. Okay? Just because they're calling you every name under the sun, does not mean you have to be using your words to harm. And as we learned in the Bible, remember, the mouth can either be life or death. Okay? Depending on what you let come out of it. Okay? So do not repay evil with evil, or insult with insult, but with blessing. Blessing. Think blessing of like wishing good onto someone. Blessing. Because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. You were called to bless so that you can get blessings from God. See, it's a chain reaction. God's watching what you're doing, okay, and he's going to bless you as you have been doing. Now, granted, God originally did the first blessing to save us when we were sinners. But this blessing is not referring to that. This blessing is referring to when you're reacting in love to someone who's yelling at you and screaming at you, right? What you're doing is you're disarming them. You're taking away the weapon that they have. Okay, you're not letting that weapon affect you. Okay, and in doing that, you find favor with God, and God shines his light and blessing onto your life because of that. Okay, there's a deeper level of that blessing. Okay, and it's not just a blessing of, okay, I'm going to give you lots of money. No, it could be a blessing of, I'm going to give you this blessing of this week where you have really good spiritual growth. Or it could be a blessing of, I'm going to bless you with a new child or a relationship that's healthy and good for your life. Or it might be a new home, or it might be extra food, or it might be just a feeling of contentment and happiness and joy that comes out of the blue, and you're like, where's this coming from? You know? Okay? Next verse. Matthew 5:38 and 39. Matthew 5:38 and 39. Matthew 5:38 and 39. Now keep in mind, as I said, I know I run this page, okay? But I'm still learning the same as you. I haven't got this down pat. I have not been able to completely control every single time that someone does harm against me. It's learning as you grow. Everyone, even pastors, learn as they grow. Okay? You have heard that it was said, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Now this is Jesus' exact words. Okay? So the first thing he's saying is you're basically saying, do you remember in the Old Testament when it said eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth? In other words, what they do to you, you do to them. Okay? But I tell you, Jesus tells you, Do not resist an evil person. What? Are you kidding me? Do not resist. Do not resist. That's a heavy word, resist. Do not become defensive against an evil person. If someone, and it goes on to explain more about it. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek. Now, it's not literally talking about fist fighting, okay? This is meant more of a figurative meaning. It means if someone does something to you, okay, you don't change how God tells you to treat them. Understand? So, here's how I'm going to say it, okay? This is Kevin translation. If someone does you wrong, you need to limit your time with them. Yes, you do. You need to limit your time with them, okay? Because as you limit your time with them, because of this. This is the reason why. Bible says bad company corrupts good character. So what you allow around yourself a lot will ultimately rub off on you. Okay? So if you're noticing that they're acting ways that you don't want or in you, then you need to limit your time with them. However, if they do wrong against you, that does not mean you have the right to do wrong back on them. Okay? An example. I love my friend William, okay? But he's not always the best influence. His jokes are sometimes perverted, bad words, and I'm not dragging him down or gossiping. I'm using it as an example, just so you know, okay? So with him, and a lot of times he's more focused on worldly happiness than he is on the happiness of the Bible. So I have to very much limit how much time I give him. Okay? Because I don't want that influence to impact my life. You understand? However, that doesn't mean that if he does something wrong on me, that I then have the right to treat him the same way that he's done me. In fact, the Bible indicates through this verse that if he's done wrong on me, I should stay steadfast. Stay the same, in other words. Okay, stay the same and treat him as if he did not do it. Not to pretend that he did, and not to pretend like, oh, you never did nothing wrong, because you have that knowledge, experience. You have experience for a reason, to learn from it, right? But more specifically, to go, okay, I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to change the way I treat you based on how you're acting. I'm going to treat you the way God tells me to treat you, and how he tells me to treat you is at all times love you, at all times pray for you, at all times wish good on you, at all times want the very best for you. Okay? That's basically, in a nutshell, what this is saying. Okay? So if they do you wrong, you don't need to get defensive and be like, I have to even the score. Okay? Next verse. Proverbs 24:29. Proverbs 24:29. Okay? Proverbs 24:29. Now this is an Old Testament verse. Now, the first Old Testament verse of this topic. Okay? And while I'm waiting for that to pop up, I'm going to jump ahead. Okay, so we got 3 pages, I believe, of verses here. I'm pretty sure. It's being sticky. Nope, 2 pages. Okay, 2 pages of verses. So that won't be too long. Okay, so that verse again, Proverbs 24:29. Do not say, I'll do to him as he has done to me. So even in the Old Testament, even though it says eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, many of the times, if not all the time, what God's basically doing, and I'm not trying to say I know God's ways all the time or anything like that. No. But what I've noticed is like a lot of times it has more to do with the motive than it does about the specific what's being done. Okay. So here's what Proverbs says: do not say, I'll do to him as he has done to me. Ooh, if only I'd came across that verse before. I'll pay that man back for what he did. Now, how many times in our days do we think that? How many times in our days do we actually have that running through our head? You know what? You hurt me. You've made me sad. Now I need to make you sad. I've hurt you. You've offended me. Now I need to offend you. Okay? No, 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 no. Do not say. Do not say. And that's going beyond what your words. That's not saying, okay, don't say it. It's going beyond that. It's meaning don't say it, don't think it, don't do it. Okay? Don't let it at all come in you. If you find it, immediately take it to the throne of God, submit it to God, be like, this is not of you, God. I'm pushing this away. Okay? I'll pay back that man for what he did. That was almost exactly the exact thought that I had with the one person that I paid, that I gave him a taste of their own medicine. That was the thought I had, almost. Only in my terms, it was, you know what? I'm going to give this person a taste of their own medicine. I'm going to do exactly to them what they've done to me. So exactly the same. So, and let me just clarify, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I wanted them to open their eyes and be like, oh my goodness, I've done something wrong against Kevin. I shouldn't have done that. It wasn't right. Did they think that? No. Why? Because I tried to take vengeance into my own hands. Okay. Next verse. Another Old Testament one. Leviticus 19:18. Leviticus 19:18. Leviticus 19:18. Okay. Leviticus 19:18. And this verse says, do not seek revenge. Again, Old Testament, one of the early books of the Bible, saying, don't seek revenge. Do not seek revenge. Or do not bear a grudge. Do you know what bear a grudge today means? Do not hold onto the hurt. And more specifically, do not feed into the fact that you have to get back at the person. Okay? That's, at least in the Kevin translation, that's what grudge is. I can try to look up online what grudge is, but I don't exactly have great internet. So, the internet that I'm using is like extremely far away. So, luckily I have my phone that has data. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to go live today. But while this is searching for grudge, if it works, okay, it says, do not seek revenge or bear a grudge. Okay, so a grudge is a persistent feeling of ill will. Ill will means you want bad for the person. So a grudge is a constant feeling of wishing harm or wishing badness onto someone else, or resentment and anger towards them from something they've done to you. Okay? So that's what grudge is. To hold on to a grudge. To hold on to what they've done, in other words. To be like, okay, you've done me wrong. I gotta hold on to this. I gotta let it stew within my heart. I gotta let it fester. Okay? Bear a grudge. Do not keep. So the translation that I would say would be like this. Do not keep a constant feeling of wanting bad on them because they've done bad on you. That would be my translation. Okay? So it says, do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people. Now, according to the Bible, because of the salvation, who is the people? People. Who is your neighbor? Everybody. Who is people? Everybody. Okay? Now, this kind of sounds more like when it says your people, though. Your people. Okay? Sounds a little bit more like talking about the family of God, but then it also adds this onto it, just so that there's no misunderstanding. But love your neighbor as yourself. So let me ask you this question, okay? Just food for thought. Let me ask you this question: how many of us would feed ourselves? How many of us would pay our own bills? How many of us would buy clothes for ourselves? You'd buy clothes for yourself, a new TV, a computer, this, that, right? Whatever it is, a new phone, right? But would you do that for your neighbor? If you noticed your neighbor down the street not having a TV, their TV broke or something, they're bored, or they don't have a phone, or they don't have this, would you take your money and go buy a phone for them? Because according to the Bible, that's the purpose of money, to use it to make friends. Okay? And yes, you do have to use it to survive as well. But the main purpose of money that God has is to create friendships, to bonds, through you using your money for others. Okay? That doesn't say, notice, it doesn't say don't care about yourself. Now, I fell into this trap once before. I got, I should never care. I should never take care of myself. Okay? But I should always take care of. Now, some people have fallen into that trap. They're going, self is not good. I should just ignore self completely. And there's some good in that, in ignoring the self-centeredness. That's not what I'm talking about. By the way, self-centeredness means all of your thinking, all of your actions, all of your doings, right? Everything that you say, think, and do revolves around you. That's what means self-centered. Okay? So it's saying in this verse, love your neighbor this as yourself means the same as yourself. Not any different, not less than, not more than, the same. So whatever you're willing to do for yourself, be willing to also do that for your neighbor. If you're willing to clean your house, be willing to clean your neighbor's house. If you're willing to give advice on how to draw closer to the Lord to your neighbor, be willing to hear that advice as well that God gives to you for your own life. Okay? And at the very end, it clarifies who it's coming from. I am the Lord. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Very simple. Next verse. 1 Thessalonians 5:15. 1 Thessalonians 5:15. Okay. 1 Thessalonians 5:15. Okay. Make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong. So now it's taken a step further. Okay. Now you've heard in the Bible it say, mind your own business, right? But this is one of the key verses where it charges you for watching over other people, making sure that they don't pay back someone wrong for wrong. Okay? So in other words, what it's saying is this. If you have a friend, and that friend comes to you and says, this person's done me wrong, I'm going to get back at them. That's the moment that you should intervene and be like, no, my friend, don't do this, don't do this. Okay? That's the goal, is you need to be that warning voice in someone else's life when they want to pay someone back evil for evil. Okay? So that's that part. Again, that verse is 1 Thessalonians 5:15, just in case someone didn't hear it before. 1 Thessalonians 5:15. Okay? All right, so now let's continue with this, and we'll wait for that verse to pop up. 1 Thessalonians 5:15. Make sure that nobody, so it's telling you to make sure that nobody that you're around directly pays someone back evil or wrong for wrong. What? Okay, but always try to be kind. Always try to be kind to each other and to everyone else. Be kind to those who are your friends. Be kind to those who are your family. Be kind to everyone else, even if they're not kind to you. Okay? So it's a two-parter, basically. This verse is a two-parter. The first part is emphasizing you are now in charge, not in control of, but it's your job to warn someone else from paying back evil for evil. Okay? That the moment you hear that or see that, you should immediately say something. Be like, I'm sorry, my friend, but the Bible says don't repay evil for evil. Don't repay wrong for wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right, is where that comes from. Yeah, don't worry. It's come up twice now. I see it 2 times. 1 Thessalonians. Anyway. Next verse. Okay. Proverbs 20:22. Proverbs 20:22. Proverbs 20:22. So this is the third Old Testament verse dealing with revenge. Okay? The third. Okay? Proverbs 20:22. So again, Proverbs chapter 20, verse 22. Do not say, I'll pay you back for this wrong. Okay, do not say. Again, do not say. And even in Thessalonians, look, make sure. Action word. Something you have to do. Almost every time. I dare you to look at these verses that you come across in the Bible and look how often it gives an action word that indicates something that you actually have to do. Okay? Do not say, I'll pay you back for this wrong. Okay? Sorry, I have to write something down. Okay, so do not say, I'll pay you back this for this wrong. You've done me wrong, I have to pay you back for it. Do not say that. Next, listen to this. And this is hard. This is hard for a lot of people, so I'm going to take my time. Listen to this. Do not say, I'll pay you back for this wrong. Wait for the Lord. That's hard to do. And He will deliver you. Okay? He will deliver you from your hurt. He will deliver you from your pain. He will deliver you from your injustice that someone has done against you. He will deliver you from everything. But check that out. Check out the order that it puts that in. Does it say He will deliver you and then you wait on the Lord? No. It puts it in that order for a reason. It means first you need to wait on the Lord. And when you wait on the Lord, then He delivers you. Okay? It's very simple. Okay? You have to be willing to wait for the Lord to tell you what to do, when to do it, and where to go. Okay? In your life. And when you learn to do that, when you learn to exercise and put into practice that, God honors that by delivering you from situations. Okay? Next verse. New Testament again. James 1:20. James 1:20. Okay? James 1:20. Okay, James 1:20. For man's anger. Now, for those who think that it's okay for man to be angry. Man's anger is good. Okay? Man's anger brings about all the goodness. Okay? Okay? Just in case you think that is something that's good, that man's anger is good, because you think, okay, God's angry all the time at things. So it's okay for man to be angry. We're following what God's doing. Okay? There's a difference. God's anger is always done in love, and it's always done for the purpose of your growth. Okay, he's never angry at you because, or he's never angry at people or anything because of his self-centeredness. He's angry because you're doing wrong. It's detrimental to you. It's hurtful. So when he's angry with someone for doing wrong, he's angry at them because he knows it's harming them. Like a parent, he's looking out, he's going, you're burning yourself, don't do it. You know, kind of thing. So here, listen to this. For man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. Wow. Anytime you think man's anger, okay, so you might ask yourself, what is anger having to do with revenge? Well, my friends, what is revenge born from? Hurt, anger. You're upset, you're angry at what they've done to you. So now you want to act out in revenge. You're angry that they've done you wrong. You're upset that they've hurt you. You're upset that they've done this to you. You're upset that they did this. Okay? So now you're acting out in your anger, in your hurt, okay, to take revenge. That's why it's connected here. For man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. Okay? Well, we're halfway there. Okay? Halfway there. Next verse. Okay? I gotta make sure it's not on the first page. Hold on. Okay, not on the first page. Next verse. Old Testament again. Deuteronomy 32:35. Deuteronomy 32:35. Okay? Is the next verse. Deuteronomy 32:35. And I might be pronouncing that name wrong, Deuteronomy. It's a tricky name to pronounce. But the verse, while we're waiting for the verse to load, Deuteronomy 32:35, the verse says, "It is mine to avenge." It is mine to avenge. This is God talking. Okay? It is mine to avenge. I will repay. It is mine to avenge. I will repay. In due time, their foot will slip. In other words, in due time, in the time that I've chosen, their foot, they will fall. In the time that I've chosen, they will mess up. Their day of disaster, their day of stress and anxiety and worry, and so basically it's saying God's going to choose when exactly it's going to come upon them for their vengeance, for the vengeance to take place. Okay, and when that time comes, okay, when that time comes that their vengeance take place, okay, when that time comes that their vengeance takes place, okay. Sorry, when that time comes that their vengeance takes place, okay, he's going to choose the time, and he's also going to use that to open their eyes. Okay? So in due time, their foot will slip. They will mess up, in other words. Their day of disaster is near. Okay? Is near. Okay, sister. Thank you for your help in time. Their day of disaster is coming. And their doom rushes upon them. So they're digging their own hole. And eventually, that hole will get so deep they won't be able to get out of it. Okay? So every action they take of anger, of hate, of evil, is digging themselves deeper into the hole. To where sooner or later they're going to be like, how did I get in this hole? I can't get out of here. Help, help. You know, kind of thing. Okay? Next verse. Proverbs 10:12. Proverbs 10:12. Proverbs 10:12. Proverbs 10:12 is the next verse. Hatred, having hate, stirs up dissension. Hatred creates problems between people. Hate is at the root of everything that goes against what the Word of God says. Okay? So hate stirs up dissension, separation, people at odds, people arguing, people fighting with each other. Okay, but love covers over all wrongs. Check out that word. Love covers over how many wrongs? All, every wrong. Love covers over every wrong. Okay, love covers over every single wrong that can take place. Okay? So one good deed can cover over so much evil. Okay? But keep in mind that you're not saved by your works. You're saved by grace. Okay? You can never earn God's salvation. Never. Okay? Next verse. Ephesians 4:31 and 32. Ephesians 4:31 and 32. Ephesians 4:31 and 32. And Sister Rabelin, thank you for your time. When you have to go back and leave, let me know in the comments, and I will take over writing down the verses. Thank you. I appreciate what you're doing. Proverbs 10:12. Oh, sorry, that was... I went backwards. Oh, that's so funny. Ephesians 4:31 and 32. So I'll read it while we're waiting for that verse for the title of what verse it is to pop up. There it goes. Now here's another action word. Okay. Now pay attention to what it tells you to get rid of. Get rid of all bitterness, all rage. Rage is extreme anger. Okay. And anger. Get rid of all anger. Get rid of brawling. Brawling is fighting. Usually physically fighting. Get rid of all slander. Slander, talking bad about people. Okay. Along with every form of malice. Okay. So while we have a moment, let's just give some definitions to things real quick. We looked up grudge before. Okay, let's look up bitterness. Bitterness. It's going to take a minute because things are slow. So, okay, we're going to look up bitterness. We're going to look up malice. Is the two we're going to look up. Okay, bitterness, a sharpness of taste. Now, usually we're going to come across, okay, I need to go back to work now. Have a good night to you, sir, to everyone. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So now I will write down the verses myself in the comments. Okay. So bitterness, usually it's with food. So if you're tasting a food that's very bitter, right, it's gonna be like very sharp and very bad tasting. So it's saying get rid of anything that's very sharp and very bad tasting in your mouth, that in your heart. Anything that you notice that's giving you a bad tasting emotion or a lack of sweetness. Or in the way I would put it would be anything that you notice that has a lack of love to it. Okay? So the next definition is malice. And I like looking up definitions because it helps. So malice is this. Malice is the intention, the desire to do evil. So it's saying get rid of all malice, all intentions to do evil. Get rid of every intention that you can find in yourself that has to do with wanting to do evil. Okay? And it joins it all together. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, brawling, slander, along with every form of malice. Okay? So it's indicating there are many kinds of form of malice. There are many kinds of intentions of doing evil. Okay? Then it goes on. So first part of this, 4:31 tells you what to get away from. The next part tells you what to focus on. Be kind and compassionate. Be kind and caring to one another. Next part is very key. Forgiving each other. Forgiving each other. Not just forgiving each other a little bit, but listen to this. Forgiving each other just as Christ God forgave you. So listen to this. Now it says just as in Christ God forgave you. Just as in Christ, God forgave you. So it's basically meaning at the same level that through Jesus Christ, God has forgiven you. That's how you need to forgive others, to that same level. Ultimate forgiveness. Okay? That is not saying that you have to say what they're doing is okay to do. No. If they done wrong, I'm sorry, but what you've done to me is wrong. But that doesn't mean you have to get. No, I'll give you two examples. Let's say Sister Amata has done wrong to me. So there is nothing wrong with me saying or informing Sister Amata, you have done something wrong to me, and I have to make it apparent to you. Okay? But you notice in there's still gentleness in my words, versus going, Sister Amata, you did something wrong to me. How dare you? You're so bad for that. You see the difference? You see the difference? One of them has compassion and kindness. The other one does not. Okay? So that's that one. Next verse, and I'm going to be doing the rest of these verses myself, is Proverbs 6:34. Proverbs 6:34. Okay? It might take a minute for it to pop up, but it's Proverbs 6:34. Okay? Hello, Mata. Hello. Okay, Proverbs 6:34. For jealousy are useless. Wait. Oh, okay. My bad. Proverbs 6:34. I was reading it wrong. For jealousy arouses a husband's fury, and he will show no mercy when he takes revenge. Okay. Now this is one of the few verses you're going to come across where it puts revenge in mankind's hands. And the reason it does that is because of a key word that it says beforehand. Husband. Okay. For jealousy. So let me ask a question. In this example, what situations might occur that would make a husband furious? Okay. Usually it has to do with cheating. Cheating will make a husband furious. Now, in that example, he's right and he's justified. So, from when I'm reading this, the first thing I'm indicating, or the first thing I'm gathering of it, okay, is that there are moments in life where it's okay to feel jealousy at something done wrong. Not jealousy like I want to do the wrong, but jealousy as in I'm jealous that my spouse slept with this guy. Example. Okay. I'm jealous that my wife cheated on me. Not that I wanted to be the person cheating, but I'm upset. I'm extremely upset. Now, this jealousy, okay, I believe, this is my translation, I believe this jealousy would be best translated to mean my feelings of hurt because this person is my property. More specifically, this person belongs to me. Because remember, when you get married, you become one flesh, right? So, them doing something is... Oh, you can still write the verse. Okay, thank you. Okay. That's wonderful. Thank you for clarifying that, Sister Rabelin. For jealousy. Now, the jealousy here would be... So, I came across a post recently that said this. Jealousy is upsetness over something that does not belong to you. Okay? Territorial is hurt, or some sort of territorial is you attempting to protect what actually is yours. So a husband and wife belong to each other, right? So that's their territory, right? So it's well within a husband's right to defend what is part of himself, and that's his wife. Okay? Now, obviously, it's not talking about physically fighting, okay, in that example, unless it gets to that point. I mean, there might be some rare occasions where you would have to use physical violence to defend your wife. Like, if you got 4 guys deciding they want to beat the crap out of your wife, it's your right to defend her physically, okay? because you're looking out for what's best for her. Okay, you're her protector. Okay. Now, but it's indicating that the husband will show no mercy when he takes revenge. Now, granted, this is in the Old Testament. Okay, this is in the Old Testament, and it's Proverbs, which was done by, I believe, David, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and David, as we know, was a man after God's own heart, but at the same time, he stumbled just like everybody else did. Okay, so you get the point. But this is one of the very few Bible verses that discuss revenge in the hands of mankind. Okay. So next verse, Psalms 94, 1 and 2. Psalms 94, 1 and 2. Psalms 94, 1 and 2. Another Old Testament, again from David. Okay. Psalms 94, 1 and 2. Okay. So this is a psalm. Okay. O Lord, the God who avenges. That's why it's in here, because of the word avenge. O Lord, the God who avenges. O God who avenges, shine forth. Rise up, O judge of the earth. Pay back to the proud what they deserve. So in this moment, I believe David's going through some struggles, some issues in his life. Okay? And he's crying out to God, God, please get revenge on these people for doing wrong on me. It's your place to do this, not mine. Get revenge on them, Lord. Get revenge. Show them your revenge. Okay? That's basically what he's doing. Okay? But notice what he's saying. Lord, pay back to the proud what they deserve. Pay back to those who hold themselves in high regards. Pay them back for what they deserve. Okay? Now, granted, there is a keynote to put in this. Okay? This is in the Old Testament, which indicates that in the Old Testament, what you pay back what they deserve, what you deserve. Now notice, New Testament, God didn't do that. He didn't give us what, because the New Testament, here's the truth. And there's going to be some people that don't like to hear this. What we actually deserve as humans is to burn in hell for all eternity. None of us going to heaven. That's what we deserve. Because there's not a single one of us that can keep the Ten Commandments completely all of our life. Not one. Only Jesus. That's the only one. Okay? And if we're held by that standard, we're not going to be able to deserve going to heaven. Okay? This is not referring to that. When it says deserve here, I believe it's referring, okay, to people who cultivate and who live by evil. People who decide, I'm so happy to do evil. I'm so happy to live evil ways. And I'm proud of that fact. There's even people that are proud to be sinners, proud to be living evilly. Okay? So basically, David is screaming to the Lord, Lord, teach people. Lord, show people where they're wrong. Lord, show people where they've done wrong, where they've done evil. Help them to learn the error of their ways. Okay? That's what he means when he says, rise up, Lord. Rise up. Don't be silent no more, Lord. Don't be silent. Please don't be silent. Okay? Next verse. Now this is the one in the Old Testament. So you have to take this with simple context. Okay? Old Testament. Exodus 21, verse 24 and 25. Exodus 21, verse 24 and 25. Now the reason I say you have to take it into context is this. You can't look at this verse and say, okay, that means I can do whatever I want. And without regarding the other verses. Okay, so we're talking about revenge, right? So you can't look at this verse and hear this verse and be like, okay, that means I have every right to get revenge and to do unto others what they do to me. Okay. And You can't do that. You can't look at this verse and go, okay, I want to listen to this verse and I want to disregard all the other verses because this one gives into my emotions. And that's what a lot of people do. They go, okay, which verse makes me feel good about listening to my emotions? This verse over here says, turn the other cheek. I don't want to do that. This verse over here says, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. So this is what I want to do. You see, they pick and choose what comforts their emotions. Okay. This verse again, Exodus 21, verses 24 and 25. Okay. And I'll give it a minute for it to pop up. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. This is where it's actually written in the Old Testament about this. Hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. In translation, do unto others what they would do to you. Okay? Simple as that. That's in the Old Testament. That's been done away with because Jesus has now put everybody under the law of love. Love of godly love, not love of worldly love. Where, oh, we need to be loving about your sin. We need to be accepting of your sins. No. Okay? God will never ask you to be accepting of another person's sin. Next verse. 2 Thessalonians 1:8. And by the way, this is coming up very soon in the Bible treasures that we're doing. 2 Thessalonians 1:8. 2 Thessalonians 1:8. He will punish those who do not know God personally. That's what that means. Do not know God personally. Remember in the Revelation it says there's going to be some, we've done this in your name, we've done this in your name. What did he say? I never knew you. Translation, you never knew me. Okay? He will punish those who do not know God and do not obey the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. Wow. So wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that I could go through the world and I claim I'm a Christian and claim I'm a believer and claim that I listen to God, but not live it because I'm not obeying what the gospel says, and I do not actually know God because I don't even talk to him on a daily basis? And those people, he's going to punish regardless of what title they try to claim. You have to have the actions to go along with the title. Okay. Example. If you're a cop, right, you are expected to do the duties of a cop. If you claim the title of a cop, but you don't do the duties of a cop, you're not going to be a cop very long. They're going to fire you. Okay? Okay? Same thing with God. He's going to punish you for not knowing him, not having a very intimate personal relationship with him, and for not obeying the gospel. Does that mean obeying it perfectly? No. Obeying the gospel means learning. So how would Kevin translate this? God's going to punish me or anyone if they do not have an intimate personal relationship with him that depends upon him to help guide them through their life. And he's going to punish them if they choose to not learn to put into practice what the gospel teaches on an everyday basis. Does that mean they're going to do it perfectly? No. I don't believe it does. I believe that it means that over time, just like you learn how to ride a bike more and more, or you learn how to make a recipe each time you try it, right? Each time you cook a recipe, you get better at making that recipe, right? Same thing with faith. Each time you practice faith, you get better at faith. Okay, you learn little key points. Okay, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Okay, you get the idea. Okay. Next verse, Judges 15:7. This is in the Old Testament. Judges 15:7. Okay. Again, Old Testament. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now you've noticed so far in the Old Testament, it's listed both places where revenge is taken by mankind, right? And it's also listed places where God point blank says, "Don't take revenge. It's mine." Okay? I believe it does this for a reason. I believe the reason that it does this is that it's saying to you, okay, that it's the goal of God for you to not take revenge. But at the same time, he's acknowledging and understanding that there are moments where we don't think things through and we do take revenge. Okay? So this one, Judges 15:7, is about Samson. Samson. Okay? Samson said to them, "Since you acted like this, I will not stop, or I won't stop until I get my revenge on you." So basically, what Samson's saying is, you've done, since you wanted to act this way, I'm not going to stop until I get revenge on you. Now, granted, the rest of the Bible indicates this is not the way of God. Okay? And as we know, even in every story in the Bible, there's key points in every character's life where they have not listened to God. I believe this would be one of them. I believe that this would be one of them where Samson chose not to listen to leaving revenge to the Lord. Okay? That's just my feeling on it. Okay? So that's that verse. Okay? Very simple. Next verse, and I believe it's the last verse, guys, of this topic. Last verse. Okay? Proverbs 19:11. Now these are just verses that I've come across. I might come across more later on. I will add them, and do them again or whatever. But this is the last verse. Proverbs 19 verse 11. Okay, Proverbs 19 verse 11. Okay, a man's wisdom. Wisdom, by the way, wisdom is different than knowledge. Knowledge is you knowing something. Wisdom is you learning how to act upon what you know. Okay, a man's wisdom gives him patience. Gives him patience. Now, I love my friend William. Again, I'm going to use him as an example. I love my friend William. But William is not very good at knowing patience. He says he knows patience, but when you watch his actions a lot of times, he doesn't know patience. Okay? Or more specifically, he knows what patience is, but he doesn't exactly know how to exercise it to its full potential. Same with everybody else. We all fall short, so I'm not pointing fingers, okay? Had times where I haven't exercised my patience. You get the point, okay? It is to that, when it says it is to his glory, it's referring to, it is to that man's glory, okay? It is to the man's glory to overlook an offense. In other words, it's to the glory of that man, or it's to the glory, the respect, the honor of that man, if he can choose to cover over when someone does him wrong and cover over it with love. Because it's very, basically it's saying, here's what it's saying. A man's wisdom of experience and knowledge of how to live will give him patience. Okay? And it is to that man's honor and glory and respect when he can learn to exercise love to cover over a wrong that's been done to him. Okay, so that's basically what it means. So that's the end of the topic of revenge. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for that. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sister Robelyn. So now I'm going to wrap it up for you. Okay, in our life, especially in this hectic, fast-paced world, okay, where it's so easy to be impatient, and it's so easy and so promoted to act upon our emotions, to act upon what we feel, okay, because that's what this whole world is about right now, okay, act upon what we feel. It is so easy to give into revenge. I urge you, don't ever allow that knee-jerk reaction, that instinct, to take control. Okay? Don't let that instinct take control. If someone does you wrong, pause. If someone's done you wrong, take time. Go away for a minute if you can. Even if it's in your mind, go away, take a moment, take a deep breath, relax, Think about it and respond with love. Okay? Respond with love back because that's going to be way better for them. It's going to be way better for you. It's going to be way better for them if you're able to do that. Okay? So thank you guys for joining. Have a great and wonderful day. Okay? And be blessed with the little things that God's given you. I got my new home. I'm sorry. I have to say it. Thank you guys. Thank you, Lord. All right, guys. Take care.